Hello world, I'm Geoff Hamby and this is Appealing Information. Today's topic of discussion, the ballot issues that you're all going to be voting on next week. Every Arkansan that goes to the polls on Tuesday, November 6th is going to see 5 different ballot issues that you're going to be able to vote on. Today, I want to explain to you what is in those ballot issues so that you can make an informed decision whenever you vote. As a bit of a disclaimer, I want to make sure that everyone understands this video is for informational purposes only. We are not picking sides. Appealing Information doesn't want to tell you how to vote. Bailey and Oliver doesn't have an opinion one way or the other about which way you should vote. We just want to make sure that everyone understands what it is they're voting on. To start, I need to clarify that Issue 1 and Issue 3 are not going to be counted. This is because it was ruled that the way those issues got on the ballot in the first place didn't follow the rules. So the only thing that you need to worry about are Issues 2, 4, and 5. So let's start by talking about issue number 2. Issue 2 is what everyone knows as the voter ID law. Issue 2 is an amendment to the Arkansas State Constitution that would require everyone to present a valid photograph government ID in order to vote. When I've talked to people about this issue, the number one question that I get is that people already thought Arkansas had a voter ID law. We do. It's called Act 633, and it was just recently passed. The reason why Issue 2 is on the ballot is because Act 633 and other laws like it that required voter ID in Arkansas have been challenged as being against the Arkansas Constitution. That's why Issue 2 is an amendment to the Constitution, so that this challenge isn't an issue anymore. The other question I get a lot when it comes to Issue 2 is what type of ID would work? You know, that's not directly addressed in the issue itself. It actually leaves it up to the legislature to decide that later. But we can look at some of the examples that have been used in Act 633 and other similar laws for a list of possibilities. Right now in Arkansas, the voter ID law can be fulfilled by any government ID that has your picture on it. That could be driver's license, that could be a passport, that could be a non-driver's license government ID, that could be a military ID, it could be a student ID or an employee ID at an accredited university. There's a whole list of things that could fulfill this requirement. The important thing to remember is that when you go to vote next week, if you vote for Issue 2, that means you want this amendment to the Arkansas Constitution to require ID, picture ID, when people vote. If you vote against Issue 2, that means you want to keep Arkansas law the way that it is. So let's talk about Issue 4. Issue 4 is known as the Casino Amendment. When we're talking about Issue 4 and what it's supposed to do, we need to first talk about what it does not do. Issue 4 does not legalize gambling all across the state of Arkansas. What Issue 4 does is it legalizes gambling in 4 specific locations. Those 4 locations are the Greyhound Racetrack in West Memphis, the Horse Racetrack in Hot Springs, somewhere within 2 miles of Russellville, and somewhere within 2 miles of Pine Bluff. The biggest question about this issue that I've heard people talk about once they understand the locations where gambling is going to be allowed is that they already thought casinos existed at these racetracks. What would be different at the racetracks specifically if Issue 4 was passed was the type of gambling that's allowed. Right now, Arkansas allows those racetracks to have games that are games of skill for people to gamble on. If the Issue 4 was passed, it could be any type of gambling, whether that involves skill or luck. Under Arkansas law, the way it is right now, if you're not at those 2 racetracks, gambling is basically outlawed entirely. Arkansas has specific laws that prohibit houses of gambling or casinos, that prohibit games of chance, that prohibit electronic gaming devices, all sorts of specific things that when you add it all together make gambling illegal throughout the state. Like Issue 2, Issue 4 is another amendment to the Arkansas Constitution. As an amendment to our Constitution, it would trump all of these previous laws that we have on the books. There's a lot of stuff in Issue 4 about who is going to regulate the gambling, about what the gambling tax dollars are going to be used for, about setting up assistance programs for people with gambling problems, a whole bunch of fine details that we really don't have time to go into in this video. But the University of Arkansas did a very good, detailed description of what all is in Issue 4, and we'll link to that below. So what you need to know is that whenever you go to the polls next week, if you vote for Issue 4, that means you want this amendment to the Arkansas Constitution to allow gambling in those 4 places. And if you vote against Issue 4, you want to keep Arkansas law the way that it is. So that just leaves us with Issue 5, the minimum wage proposal. What Issue 5 wants to do is it wants to raise the minimum wage in Arkansas by 75 cents in 2019, 75 more cents in 2020, and $1 in 2021, so that by that point, the minimum wage in Arkansas will be $11. For anyone out there who's good at math, you know that means the current Arkansas minimum wage is $8.50 an hour. You know, Arkansas has had minimum wage laws for quite a long time. The first minimum wage law in Arkansas was passed in 1915. That law allowed for a minimum wage of $1.25 per day and only applied to experienced women workers. Arkansas passed its first hourly minimum wage law in 1969, and that set the Arkansas minimum wage at $1 an hour. Since that time, Arkansas has increased our minimum wage 25 times. Most recently, this was done in 2014, just like Issue 5 here, through a ballot measure. That 2014 law had the same type of progressive steps that this Issue 5 does, where they went up a little bit each year until last year, in 2017, we hit the $8.50 mark. The current Arkansas minimum wage of $8.50 is actually $1.25 higher than what is required by the federal government. And just so we're clear here, a vote against Issue 5 is not a vote to get rid of Arkansas's minimum wage. It's just a vote to leave it where it's at. So when you go to the polls, if you vote for Issue 5, that means that you want Arkansas to increase its minimum wage up to $11 an hour by 2021. If you vote against Issue 5, that means that you want Arkansas to leave its minimum wage at $8.50. So there you have it. Everything that you need to know about the Arkansas ballot issues. Issues 1 and 3 aren't going to get counted because they didn't follow the rules, and you know about Issues 2, 4, and 5. Hopefully this will help you to be a little bit more informed and to vote based on you, your life, and your values. As always, remember to hit subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook, share our post, help everybody to get informed and to know what it is they're voting on next week. I'll talk to you soon.